hell are all of you staring at? What the hell just happened?
Do you mean the explosion? Or was it an attack? It was hard to tell the difference, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Tavros, stop. Just stop, right now. I'm already twice over the limit of how much bullshit I can take in one day, and your irritating voice is this close to giving me a headache. Nope. Too late. Migraine City. Population me. Thanks a buttload, boy Skylark.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, sorry about your head, Vriskers, but I gotta interject here. First off, your head hurts because it got hit with a deadly fucking laser pointer, so blaming it on Tavros feels pretty damn rude to me, TBH. But I don't really want to get into a catfight with you right now. Or maybe not ever, cause that's, like, no thanks. Cranky Vriska, I'll pass on that. Especially since there's, like, way more important things to be dealing with. So I'll let it slide for now. As you were saying, Tavros.
Well, thank you for speaking on my behalf. Even if it wasn't strictly necessary. Bird Nepeta, or whoever you are.
You're half right. It's Davepeta.
Oh, okay. So, Davepeta, do you think that it was an attack or an explosion?
Tavros, are you holding on to your socks because I'm about to blow them the fuck off? I think it was an attack that was also an explosion.
Ugh. I don't have time for this. Who gives a shit if it was an attack or whatever? Am I really the only person who cares about making sure that the most evil fucker in all of Paradox Space is finally dead for good? Isn't that what we raised an entire army for? The army that is nowhere to be found, by the way?
Vriska,
What?
you need to krill out for a sec.
No, you krill out! I am not going to krill in a single fucking direction until somebody decides to open their mouth and fill me in on what the fuck just happened.
The army's gone.
Gone? No shit, they're gone. Do you see a throng of expendable, huddled masses anywhere nearby, Meenah? Because if so, now would be a great time to let me know. No, that's what I fucking thought. Thank you so much for that astute observation. That sure clears up jack squat. Now how about we get back to the less immediately obvious? Gone where? And more importantly, why?
Listen, Cirques, I could really do without the attitude. If you took 2 seconds to breathe, you could probably figure out yourself. But if you clam down...
It definitely will, so spill!
They got blasted.
Are you serious? He took out everyone? In one hit?
Nah, not all of them. But a lot of double death happened, yeah. I mean, the weapon didn't do flip of what it was supposed to do, as far as I could tell. It did a pretty cool job of shielding our asses. You're welcome, by the way. But anybody who didn't get behind it definitely got fried.
So? Where's Lord English now? Because if we need to track him down, we need to get on that like yesterday.
Dude's still having a tantrum over there, actually.
Then why the hell are we all the way out here?
Look, Vriska, the plan didn't work. You got KO'd, or passed out, or whatever the shell, and the army got gutted, so I figured the only sensible thing to do was a tactical retreat.
Okay, fine. That was pretty sensible.
Except most of everyone didn't stop retreating, no matter what inspirational crab I threw at them. Sorry about your head, by the way. I'll admit that was my bad. Ain't easy to haul ass and sand with dead weight over your shoulder.
Hey, at least there's a bright side to all this. Tavros convinced a few people to stay, right?
I did, through the power of friendship, and a large quantity of words spoken directly from the heart, even though it would have been better if all of them had stayed, I think. There is a part of me that also thought leaving might have been a good idea, considering how things look pretty hopeless now. But that part of me is the one that missed out on the completion of my successful and fulfilling character arc, which is what the majority of the rest of me is comprised of. Especially the parts that were kicking Lord English in the face not too long ago. And truthfully, I'm still pretty fired up from that. So I ignored the cowardly impulse and instead stayed to help my friends, see this undertaking through to the end. And there were some people who agreed with me, which are the people who are here presently.
See? Sollux and I even stayed to help too. In fact, we're all here to help. Well, maybe some of us are here mostly out of curiosity.
Or boredom.
Or that too. Or maybe even a mishmash of all sorts of motivations. But whatever the reason, we are on your side. So I get the feeling that if you don't lighten up a little, some of us might suddenly have a lot more reason to join the others and find something else to do.
Fine. Thank you for sticking around, I guess. Well, might as well take stock of our freshly downsized crew. There's myself, Meenah, Tavros, Aradia, Sollux, Davepeta, I guess, whoever you are, Feferi. Hi. Nice to see you, I guess. At least one version of you. Equius. Yeah. Hey, neighbor. Loving the new getup. Bunch of Dancestors. I swear I know all of your names. And that's it. Like 13 people. That's just swell. Well, at least I know pretty much everyone here, for the most part. Better than nothing. A decent collection of powers and skills. Davepeta, you have wings and claws and probably some combination of time and heart powers that have to come in handy somehow, right? Yeah! This is fine. Everything's fine. I can totally work with this. And I know exactly what went wrong with the plan. Don't bet all your money on one horse. A horse that you don't even know for sure is going to be able to run. Stupid dumb. But I can learn from my mistakes, just like I always have. Say something doesn't work. So what? Get right back up and keep trying. Look at it from a new angle, because there is way too much at stake not to. I bet there's a totally reasonable explanation for everything that went sideways. What the weapon actually fucking did? Why my luck ran out? Whatever that huge gaping hole in the furthest ring is? I can do this! No fixating on the past. That's all behind me. I just have to focus. I'm sure the answer is right in front of my face. Hell, maybe it's been lying in plain sight this entire time.
Yo, Fishka. Don't mean to burst your bubble or nothing, like watching you losing and blubber at yourself has got a serious entertainment factor, but you might want to actually look behind you.
What now?
Why, hello there. It sounds to me like you might be in need of my particular talents and services. Luckily for you, I've come to offer just that. You're welcome in advance.
Circuit? Hold the glove up. I thought you, got owned or whatever.
Nice to see you too, Meenah. Just as anxious to get to the point as ever, but as per usual, I encourage you to exercise a bit more patience. All your questions and concerns will be addressed eventually, I assure you.
Ugh, I can't believe this. You go all crazy and try to pull off some ridiculous timeline divine intervention stunt. Probably kept acting like a hotshot all the way up to get fucking wasted. I'm out here thinking I ain't never gonna see you again cause you got in your head you have to be the ultimate magnanimous blowhard just like your stupid alt shelf. And then you reappear out of nowhere just looking as smug as you ain't got no business being, and you tell me I gotta put up with whatever sanctimonious salmon you prepared before I get any answers?
Sanctimonious what?
Oh my god, I meant sermon!
Meenah, you might want to reel yourself in for a moment. Maybe try to avoid making the same mistakes as the younger circuit.
Excuse me?
Oh, hush. You've spent far more energy externalizing your frustration than you have doing anything productive. We can only take so much of this. We're here to try and do something with our afterlife, other than willfully subject ourselves to its infinite echo chamber of teenage drama. I myself have had enough of that for at least 2 lifetimes. So, if either of you are ultimately only going to contribute to the endless cacophony, rather than focus on getting results, I suggest you move it to some other bubble. If not, then consider joining the rest of us and seeing what Aranea might have to offer to our cause.
Why, thank you, Porrim. That was very eloquently put. I promise you won't be disappointed.
We'll see.
Really, I was well prepared for my reappearance to cause something of a stir. It's completely understandable to want an explanation. I've been lying low for a while now, gathering information, drawing conclusions, revising and perfecting plans, all of which will certainly prove invaluable for you in all your current predicament. It really is a shame you've landed yourselves in such a bind. It was ultimately inevitable, but unfortunate all the same. Isn't it lucky, then, that I'm here to put this train back on its tracks?
Sigh. If you have any interest in keeping that promise of yours, I suggest you skip the preamble.
hold the fucking phone. Why should we listen to anything you have to say? Your track record isn't exactly stellar, and from what I'm seeing right now, you haven't learned from your colossal fuck-up one iota. I have absolutely zero interest in letting the same washed-up has-been whose mess I had to clean up waltz in here and act like she's my goddamn savior.
Come now, Vriska. You of all people should know there are better times to choose for throwing hissy fits. And besides, what about your little plan? We can all plainly see how well that turned out. You were smacked down just as unceremoniously as I was, so don't act as if you're suddenly the only person who can pull their own weight around here. You may be incredibly stubborn, but you can't be so foolish as to dismiss common sense purely for the sake of your ego. I'm your best shot at making it out of this alive. While your army was being eradicated, I was busy uncovering the truth. And if you would just allow me to explain, perhaps you could finally regain your wits and be able to focus on what truly matters.
I already have my wits, and I was just about to use them to whip this bunch of losers into shape before you and your bloated delusions of grandeur showed up.
Is that what you're about to do? I never would have guessed. Considering from my perspective, you were in the middle of some sort of mental breakdown brought on by being utterly incapable of comprehending the magnitude of your own failure. I bet there's a totally reasonable explanation for everything, was it?
Oh, so you just miraculously happen to have all the answers right after they would have actually been useful? Instead of maybe, I don't know, showing up before shit hit the fan to prevent it from happening in the first place? But no, instead, you kept all of this supposedly invaluable information to yourself, just so you could have the satisfaction of rubbing it in our faces. Excuse me if I don't find that sort of over-the-top megalomania trustworthy.
If you had been paying attention, you might have taken note of when I mentioned that this outcome was inevitable. There was hardly anything I could have done to prevent it. You, on the other hand... The mishap with your dice could have easily been avoided if you had simply realized how thoroughly outmatched you were. Did you actually try your little luck-stealing trick on Lord English?
Yeah, I did. That's kind of what I do, but it didn't work.
Of course it didn't. Lord English is hardly on the same level as the Black King or the myriad low-level imps, hapless trolls, and pitiful ghosts from which you previously acquired ill-gotten fortune. Your abilities aren't even close to developed enough to stand a chance against such an opponent. But say, I think that perhaps we can strike a deal. We all know that time has been kinder to me and that I've had enough of it to refine my powers considerably. Between the two of us, I am clearly the superior hero of light.
Oh yeah, sure, because I'm totally interested in whatever bogus deal you have to offer, especially when you phrase it like that.
And yet you don't deny the truth of my words. A smart choice.
Are you going to waste time gloating or actually get to the point?
My point is that I would be more than happy to lend you my services. Allow you to maximize your potential in a more expedient fashion, given the sizable constraints we are currently under. All you would have to do is ask nicely. Maybe even apologize for raising your voice. A little more respect and deference would be appreciated as well. What do you say? A deal is a deal?
How about this? I don't need your help!
I think that is quite enough of that for now. While I normally endeavor to encourage constructive debate in the interest of informing the ignorant masses, this argument has become far too problematic for me to allow it to continue. There isn't nearly enough time for me to go over all of the deeply disturbing comments disparaging not only the magically disadvantaged but the mentally challenged which I have just bore witness to. So I will settle with briefly chastising you both for your cavalier disregard of your inherent privilege, and encourage you to be more aware of how the nature of your words might affect the very important feelings of people that aren't here.
Like, not to be unrad or whatever, because that is totes not my style, but Mituna's, like, right here.
He is?
I hate your fucking whistle!
Oh, right. Of course. My mistake. Apologies, Mituna. I hope you don't mind that I have taken it upon myself to speak on your behalf, considering your various issues with speaking at all. Exactly. You've been rendered nonverbal by the sensory overload caused by all this unnecessary shouting, which makes the whole thing worse, really. Right, Mituna?
Why are there so many words? It's all buzzing.
Don't worry about it, babe. It's almost over.
Shouting and stupid balls whiffing whistles. Fuck!
Even more sincere apologies, Mituna. Even if the use of the whistle was vital in the construction of your safe space, I understand that it did upset you, and that your feelings on the matter are valid. But thankfully, and despite the unfortunate side effects, it did its job of helping bring everyone to their senses. Really, this whole thing could have been avoided if you both had just listened to Porrim's advice.
Oh. Canny, did you just agree with me for once?
I believe I have asked you several times now not to call me that!
Well, this is probably the worst clusterfuck I've ever had the fortune of not seeing. Are you sure we just can't leave? As if whichever smug fuck that ends up running the Idiot Brigade is going to solve our impending doom. It's almost starting to feel like the whole pirate crew bullshit all over again. Except somehow even more of a catastrophe.
We can't go yet, Sollux. I have no intention of leaving. And while I understand why you may want to this time, it really is somewhat imperative that you stay. We all have a part to play in the preservation of reality, a mission which is even more critical now than it has ever been.
Ugh, really?
Yes.
So I'm, like, important somehow?
Does it help you feel better to think about it like that?
Kind of. Bizarrely enough. Where did that come from all of a sudden?
I couldn't possibly tell you, but what I can tell you is that I think this brief setback will be over soon.
Fine, if you say so.
Man, this is just getting sad. But guess I ought to toss my 2 cents into this clusterfuck. Because honestly, I kind of agree with Vriska's a little. My subconscious is clawing at me that we totally can't trust Aranea at all, ever. Cause she's seriously bad news. I don't have any real concrete memories or anything to support it, but I don't know. That's just how I feel. Meow on the other paw. We kind of are in some pretty hot water. And I also have the conflicting feeling that whatever info she has for us will be important. So if anything, we should just hear her out, so long as you don't try to pull anything fishy.
Thank you for the endorsement, and the warning, I suppose. If there won't be any further interruptions...
Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. But you better believe I'm gonna be gilling you later.
I look forward to it.
I think Vriska looks like she's ready to stop shouting, so we can begin listening. Which is good, because I am very curious. Especially since I sort of always liked your stories, Aranea. When they didn't run too long anyway.
Don't worry, Tavros. I will try and keep this as brief as possible, while also ensuring all vital information and context is provided, of course. Now, allow me to begin. As a few of you may know, some time ago I attempted to break free from the shackles of death and obscurity by endeavoring to mold the Alpha timeline to my will. The outcome notwithstanding, the crux of the scheme was that I would ensure that the universe Lord English was born into was never created in the first place, and thus completely avert his disastrous influence on all of reality. Of course, my actions would merely have resulted in a doomed timeline, but I was confident in my ability to heal my doomed branch to the point where it could functionally supersede the Alpha timeline.
Man, this sounds just as nuts as it did last time you were glubbing about it. Shaking my head.
Meenah! I thought you said there would be no interruptions! I'm hardly proud of my conceited maneuver either, but this is important context.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. That being said, I'm still fairly confident that the essence of my plan was well-founded. It just so happened my scope of the understanding was far too narrow. My priorities were all askew.
No shit.
Her imperious condescension proved far more tenacious an obstacle than I had anticipated. Despite her many efforts to break free from Lord English's servitude, her determination to see that universe made has always been in line with the preservation of his eventual revival. And so long as she continues to operate in his best interests, she will continue to draw considerable power from her connection with him. A connection only he can sever.
Shit.
With the current state of things, it is far more efficient to simply address the problem at its source. Which, of course, was the purpose of our original plan. Nonetheless, I grew determined to scour the furthest ring for more information on Lord English's weaknesses. I'd a hunch that there was likely much more to the story than I had additionally realized. There were a number of differing theories linked to Lord English's fate. Though each spun a unique tale, there was one central element common to all of them: a weapon. Presumably, the same weapon that the Lord of Time is currently preoccupied with. As a quick aside, in case any of you are wondering, for the moment, English poses very little threat to us. His attention has shifted to matters far more urgent than terrorizing our small gathering. That is to say, he is entirely focused on the weapon. The utilities and nature of this weapon are still shrouded in mystery. That alone should have been something of a red flag, but I digress. It was said that the Lord of Time once entrapped inside it a band of heroes that had challenged him, and that they were destined to be released from their prison and finish what they started. It was also suggested that the weapon was a juju that had been in Lord English's possession, which upon outlasting its use, therefore functioned purely as the instrument of his demise. Others assumed that was merely a tool meant to unleash some sort of coup de grace. At another point, all signs seemed to indicate the weapon was in fact a person, the ghost of the Lord's long-dead female counterpart, whom he had killed to assume control of their shared body. The counterpart he would stop at nothing to eradicate all traces of from existence. After my thorough investigation, I can tell you with confidence that all these things are true in one way or another. However, we put the pieces of the puzzle together all wrong. We entirely dismissed the tale of the lost cherub and assumed that the weapon must be the very juju we discovered in the void. We expected it to wipe out Lord English in one fell swoop through some ambiguous onslaught. As you can see, these preconceptions were entirely unsubstantiated. Lord English has been weakened, but remains undefeated. However, that does not mean the weapon failed to perform its proper function. The truth of the weapon is as such. It is a juju that once belonged to Lord English as a powerful tool that once used, thereafter could only be used against him. When English was challenged by a party of valiant and worthy warriors, he resorted to the juju to entrap them and cast them aside. Then he banished it to the void in an attempt to prevent it from being found. This was a fool's errand, as we cleverly managed to locate the weapon regardless. It unleashed something upon him, and now both remain. It's likely many of you are aware of this information already. The rest, while far more enlightening, will begin to delve more into the realm of conjecture. But I am confident in my deductions. As far as I can discern, the juju draws its power from a source completely beyond our current comprehension. Beyond Lord English, beyond Skaya, and perhaps even beyond the plane of existence altogether. Perhaps it even plays an invisible role in shaping reality as we know it. Whatever its true nature, it seems that Lord English himself also draws some measure of power from that same source. It may very well be the origin of his unconditional immortality and how causality itself appears to bend to his will. So, what did the juju do? I believe it severed his connection to that higher plane. And along with the destruction of one of his other power sources, the Green Sun, he has been left vulnerable, unstable, and perhaps even finally mortal. Now, I understand that some of you may be wholly unaware of the destruction of the Green Sun. It happened only recently, so don't worry. I will be sure to fill you in. I think that the more observant of you have already managed to take a moment to look up at the infinitely fracturing void that surrounds this bubble. If you haven't, I suggest you do so now. That gaping hole in the furthest ring is what is known as the Pocket. It is the work of the final piece of the puzzle, the Lost Cherub. We were far too quick to dismiss her role in this story, though our haste is ultimately inconsequential. She was always beyond our grasp, and she would have done her duty just as regularly, no matter our thoughts or feelings of her. The Lost Cherub turned out to be another manner of weapon in her own right. She was also far more than that. Her mere existence is something of a miracle. The Muse of Space should have never emerged victorious in the battle against her more determined male counterpart. And yet she defied the odds stacked against her just as deftly as Lord English had. In some lonely offshoot timeline, she asserted her iron will and managed to predominate over her brother. She played the game that was built for her to lose, and she made the choice that her brother would never have possibly made. The Lord of Time, upon meeting with his denizen, took the path of the Conqueror. The Muse of Space, given a similar opportunity, took the path of the Martyr. And in doing so, she dedicated her life and her subsequent death to the Conqueror's destruction. I believe that, on some level, Lord English knew this. His relentless quest to find and destroy her was as much of a labor of self-preservation as it was of hatred. This, too, would lead to his undoing. The Muse used herself as bait, goading himself into his misguided rampage across the furthest ring while simultaneously forging a path for us to claim his long-forgotten juju. And so, the Lost Cherub waited patiently until all the other pieces were in place for her final gambit. She traveled to the Green Sun to fulfill her destiny as Lord English's foil. There, she performed her final acts as the Martyr. She created a singularity which absorbed the incredible mass and energy of the Green Sun. The singularity became so dense and so powerful that it tore a cataclysmic rift into the very fabric of paradox space. The Pocket will continue to rip apart and consume reality until nothing is left, and Lord English is no exception. So you see now, don't you? Our failure was not in defeating Lord English. It was in stopping the rest of reality as we know it from becoming collateral in his destruction.
Wait. So, what are you saying exactly?
I thought I was fairly clear, but I understand if this information is too jarring for you to absorb. It means that if nothing is done, everything that we know will cease to be.
Everything. Really?
Yes, Vriska, everything. Every ghost, every horror terror, every dream bubble, session, and universe. It will all eventually fall into the Pocket and be lost. Of course, this ensures that there is no point in time or space to which Lord English can escape, but then again, the same goes for us. If it is any consolation, from the perspective of any universes currently nestled inside of Skaya, this is business as usual. And from the moment of the vast croak, they contain every instance of that universe and all their histories at once. The residents of any given iteration have no way of perceiving anything that occurs in this broader scope. They are free to live their mortal lives as they would have otherwise. As they say, ignorance is bliss. A blessing that those of us among the dead cannot afford. But the consequence of what we managed to accomplish will reach beyond such individual concerns and matter a great deal to the masses yet to even be born. I did everything I could to prevent the Pocket from forming. In fact, I spent considerable time and effort seeking out the Lost Cherub for myself. I planned to attempt reasoning with her, to convince her that there must be some other way. But she was far too elusive, and no doubt too dedicated to her cause to have listened if I had found her. So in the end, I failed, just as you did. I'm not too proud to admit that.
I don't know about calling it a failure. It's just like you said, isn't it? This was always bound to happen. As I see it, this is simply the story reaching its natural conclusion. Honestly, I'm kind of excited. I had a hunch that this is how everything would end, though the added context definitely makes it a lot more interesting.
So, this is what the horror terrors meant. They have been whispering about the end for quite a while now. I thought they must have been talking about Lord English ripping them and their bubbles apart, but this makes much more sense. It's so hard to hear their sad little glubs now. Soon, I think they will go quiet for good.
Really? Then whatever they have to say right now must be important.
Right? I'm trying to listen carefully, but I must be hearing them wrong. There was something about a door?
Man, I'm glad I'm not the one hearing voices for once.
Are you sure that's what they said? A door?
Well, it sure did sound like that, but that doesn't make any sense. Does it?
What else did they have to say about this door?
Glub. Nothing I can make out yet. Sorry. Just the door. I can keep listening if it's important.
Yes, please do. It is vitally important. That door is likely our best bet at circumventing our current plight.
Wait, a door? They couldn't be talking about the door that showed up on the weapon, right?
Actually, I believe that is exactly what they are talking about.
How the fuck would a door save our asses exactly?
It's not about the door. It's about what's behind the door. If I am right about the nature of the juju, then that door could very well lead to another realm entirely, one completely beyond the reach of the ever-expanding pocket. It is the key to everything, the only logical next step to take. Everything is slotting into place.
You're losing me, Cirx.
Think, Meenah. The story isn't over yet. The Lost Cherub has done her part. We have done ours in activating the weapon. And what of the warriors? The challengers Lord English trapped inside his juju. Where do they come in? They are through that door. Them in the higher plane they have been trapped within for eons. The warriors could be waiting for us to find and free them so they might do their work in repairing the damage the Lost Cherub has done. After residing in what could be a macrocosm of infinite power, surely they have the means to accomplish anything. What could we accomplish by going there ourselves? If nothing else, the juju is the only way we can escape the destruction of reality itself. It is the only path to take that leads somewhere else.
Aranea? What the angling fuck?
It's already begun. Lord English is as aware as I am of the juju's potential, but it seems his best course of action is to aimlessly attack it. Perhaps a byproduct of how unstable he's become. Instead of fleeing the pocket, he will stubbornly try to evade his fate while facing certain destruction. And barring that, he will do whatever it takes to doom us all with him. He will not rest until the juju is destroyed. Maybe he could even be attempting to enter it himself. Either way, we cannot allow him to take away our last hope.
Yeah, sure.
Sure? You sound anything but. Don't you agree with me?
I mean, yeah, I guess. All this stuff you've been spouting sounds legit. Maybe.
Maybe. So you don't trust me, is that it?
I don't know. I want to believe you, but something just smells fishy. Mostly because you're getting kinda weird.
Weird? Reality is on the verge of collapse, but I'm being weird. Don't you realize what's at stake?
Yeah, I do. I'm just thinking maybe we ought to clear our heads before we belly flop into anything, okay? Jeez. Wait for Angelfish over there to synergize with the horror glubbers of whatever.
Do you think we have time for that? At any moment, we could be erased forever. Don't you care about dying, Meenah? You used to be so dedicated to staying alive that you were willing to blow us all up as a last resort. I know that we're all technically living on borrowed time, and I'm aware that every moment we spend with our consciousness intact was a gift none of us really ever deserved, but I'm not done yet. I want to continue to exist, don't you? I've been here so long, trying to make best of our situation, reaching new heights in skill and understanding, and yet I still... Don't you want something to matter, Meenah? Don't you want all of this to have meant something? The fact that we were here, that we existed. If everything that ever was and ever will be is going to just disappear, then none of it will ever meant anything. So please, just trust me. What scheme could I possibly have up my sleeve that would be worse than the alternative? What more could any of us have to lose? All you have to do is listen!
Fine. What's your big plan?
We need to find a way past Lord English. While it might be within our abilities to defeat him as he is now, it feels to me like too much of a gamble when so much rides on our success. We can simply lure him away with a proper distraction and deal with him later. Really, the most sensible course of action is for me to call back the remainder of the army. Perhaps it would even be best if I took control of the entire operation? Surely you agree we don't have any time for any more petty squabbles. So long as I have control of the majority of our attack force, it would simply be more efficient for me to be calling the shots. Time is of the essence after all.
Nah.
What? What do you mean, nah?
You heard me. It ain't happening, sir. Sorry, not sorry.
Excuse me?
Look, I'm trying to be chill about this, okay? But I'm in charge of the army. That's not even up for debate. Even if it ain't here, it's still mine. Right, Nitro?
I'm not entirely sure why you're asking me. But yes, I think that you're still the leader.
Yeah, exactly. And as Empress and Supreme Commander of the army, I say they are supremely officially dismissed.
Meenah, it seems that you aren't fully grasping the gravity of the situation. This is incredibly foolish.
Says you, and you've been saying a boatload already. Some of it seems like decent intel, but I've got my trouts about the rest. And while the info is def appreciated, you're not calling the shots. It ain't really your thing, Winfang. Never has been.
Don't you think that more manpower is going to be necessary? That's not going to happen without my help.
We tried going for broke already, and that didn't exactly pan out. Something tells me tossing a bunch of brainless prawns at a guy who just vaporized half our army ain't gonna roll over so well. And you've been going on about how he's weaker now and all that junk, so I think if we play smart, we got every Moby we need right here.
But we don't have time!
See, I'm not so sure about that. My gut's saying that's bullshit, and I'm willing to take that risk so we don't charge headfirst into a half-baked plan and get pound again. Cause you made it pretty clear we only got one shot at this. So Aranea, do me a favor and clam it for like 5 flippin' minutes so I can get the show on the road.
Fine. My points still stand, however.
Yeah, whatever. Nitro,
Yes?
give me your horns.
As you wish, Your Highness.
Quit giggling, you dork.
Sorry.
Alright, eyes and ears up here, you ragtag bunch of guppies. First off, let me make one thing crystal clear. Don't any Moby question my authority. I'm the big kahuna around here, and that's final. Any of you shrimps got a problem? Too bad. Either shut up or get the fuck out. I don't need no mutinous sea snakes in my crew. I know I said one thing, but now there's a second one. Deal with it. As weird and depressing and existentially pointless as this whole afterlife deal is, I'm sure as shit want to keep existing. This is my fucking domain, and I'm gonna defend it. Anyone who thinks otherwise better forget it like yesterday. Now that you all got your head screwed on straight, this isn't gonna be easy. There's a lot floating on us, and last time I checked, our crew kinda got short-staffed. But you stuck around anyway, and for that, I like the cut of your jib. We might just have what it takes to pull this off. I'm gonna be real with you, there's a chance we might not. And if this goes belly up, I guess us ghosts are screwed, but the rest of you living chumps, if it goes south, you all better fucking clam scray. And that's an order.
Huh?
What?
You heard me. You better not be questioning me right now.
No, you don't have to worry about us. Jeez. We all chose to be here. We're not just gonna run away when the going gets tough.
Speak for yourself, Vriska. I'm not saying I'm going to bail the first chance I get. I just mean, don't put words in my mouth. Because I'm fine with that plan. Like Aranea said earlier, we've got a whole new universe to go live in, right? Where we don't have to worry about constant impending doom. Well, actually the doom will still be there, but it won't be our problem. So if whatever plan we're discussing here doesn't work out, it would just be dumb to stick around only to die pointlessly.
Maybe.
Come on, Aradia. This isn't the moment for the whole death fangirl shtick.
That's really sweet of you, Sollux. But it's not just that.
I don't care what else it is. Don't be stupid.
I'll think about it, okay?
Fine.
Okay, well, that's enough of that sentimental crab. Capta's point still stands, though, and by that I mean my point. Like Shell, I'm gonna let you all die like a bunch of idiots, especially because if you do, who's gonna remember how awesome I was and write me into a legend and shit, huh? Those are the important questions.
Oh man, I'm already so on that, Meenah. How do you feel about a rap ballad written in your honor?
Bird Lejean, that's the best fucking idea anybody's ever had.
Yes!
May I assist in the production of this epic? I think you will find my skills in the art of poetry to be exceptionally strong.
OMG, yes. I mean, your rhymes get real weird real fast, but maybe that's just what we need, so long as I'm here to reel you in a little, just like old times.
Yes, old times. I assume this is referring to the fact that you are composed of approximately 50% my former Moirail.
Former?
My version of Nepeta has been gone for some time.
Oh no. Dude, I know she didn't leave you alone on purpose. Like, I'm not sure which Nepeta yours was, but I don't think a single one would have just up and left for no reason.
Indeed, she did not. She was one of Lord English's many victims on his ludicrous rampage. I am here to see her properly avenged, no matter the cost.
Dave, pet a muse appreciatively, and give Equius one of those cute little leg rubs, cause that shit is heartwarming as fuck. They then present their head for commiserative forehead boops.
Equius thanks Davepeta for their sympathetic gestures, but requests they reduce the amount of hypothetical physical proximity. It is uncomfortable.
Davepeta apologizes and saunters off to respect Equius' personal space.
Please excuse my brief intrusion into your conversation. I can sympathize with your tale of woe, young ancestor, for I too have lost someone near and dear to my heart.
Is that so? Who?
My former matesprit, Rufio.
Oh man, hey there, other Horuss troll guy. It's cool, you can butt in. I'm sorry about Rufio. Did he get blasted by Lord English too?
No, perhaps if he had, I would simply have trotted off with the others. Instead, it seems the mass exodus of our neighbors in arms provided the perfect opportunity for him to bail on me.
Oh gee, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, it's just, you're a funny dude. Doing the horse pun thing even when you're talking about how your boyfriend broke up with you.
I have also seen neither hide nor maid of my Moirail for some time. Could she have abandoned me too? She would doubtlessly be reminding me of how to properly crush the stampede of emotion with insistent positivity. But I am just too saddled to give a damn. Fudge! Please pardon my language. I'm just so distraught.
I swear I'm not laughing at you, it's just the faces you keep making. Okay, I'll stop.
The flip are you three blubbing about over there? The ballad can wait. We got a game plan to hash out here. Have you even been listening to me at all?